want his wife to know that he been over there spending all this money. He was in love with her. He bought her car. He paid all her bills. Everything she wanted, he got it. You know how she tried to end. She tried over and over. She cried for this man to leave her alone. He wouldn't leave her alone.
This is Love Hurts. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for future content. 32-year-old Dominique Clayton, affectionately known as Lucy, was the mother of 4 children. She was a great mom who did her best to provide for her kids. She was described as the heart and soul of her family. Everyone just loved being around her. In August of 2018, while out and about, Dominique met Officer Matthew Kinney. Kinney had been an officer with the Oxford Police Department and a member of the Mounted Patrol Team for about 4 years. The two hit it off immediately. Raising 4 kids as a single mother was hard for Dominique, so when she met Officer Kinney, she welcomed the ideal of having a financially stable partner around. Things got hot and heavy fast. Matthew seemed like the perfect boyfriend. He was always there providing whatever Dominique needed. He bought her a car, he paid her rent, he gave her money for a deposit on a new home. I mean, this guy was basically her sponsor. He provided everything she needed. Anything she wanted, Matthew was there to buy it. He was definitely her sugar daddy, and there's just no other way to put it. Hey, it ain't tricking if you got it. The only problem with this situation is that Matthew Kinney was married. Yes, he was a very married man. This was actually his second marriage. He had been married once before, but his wife died under mysterious circumstances, at which point Officer Kinney moved to a new town, Oxford, Mississippi, started a new life, and remarried. About a year into the relationship between Dominique and Officer Kinney, and things started to get rocky. Dominique wanted out of the relationship. Now, there's some conflicting information as to why she wanted out. Some say that Matthew became extremely jealous and possessive, but yet he refused to leave his wife. Others say that he ran out of money, he was no longer providing for her financially, and that's why she wanted out. Either way, she definitely wanted out, and she planned on telling his wife about the affair. And that, based on court records, is what set Officer Kinney off.
Police officer is charged with killing a woman investigators say he was in a romantic relationship with. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Richard Ransom. Katina has the night off. Police say Matthew Kinney shot the victim, Dominique Clayton, in the head. Local 24 News reporter Rebecca Butcher spoke to the victim's family and has tonight's top story.
Well, very scarce details were released in today's news conference here at the Oxford Police Department in the death of Dominique Clayton. Family members were present and they say they just want answers.
Today is about justice for Dominique. Dominique was a mother, a daughter, a sister, a friend, and a member of our community. And today is about her.
Relatives of 32-year-old Dominique Clayton say they never saw her death coming. The mother of 4 was found shot to death in her Oxford, Mississippi home on Sunday. Oxford police officer Matthew Kinney was charged Tuesday with murder in her death.
It was discovered early on in the investigation that one of our officers, Matthew Kinney, a 4-year officer with the Oxford Police Department, was possibly involved with Dominique. We immediately contacted the Mississippi Bureau of Investigations to protect the investigation.
A close family friend tells me Clayton and Kinney were in a romantic relationship for nearly a year and that the victim's 8-year-old son found his mother after she was shot in the head. According to loved ones, Clayton worked security on the Oxford Square, was energetic and full of life.
She's a beautiful angel. I mean, every time you see her, she always kept a smile and speak to you, and she always loved a hug.
Relatives are still trying to grapple with her loss.
We want the public to know that Matt did do it. We don't want anybody to cover it up. We want the truth out, and we want justice for my sister.
Officer Kinney remains in the Panola County Jail. He is expected in court on Wednesday.
On the night of May 18th, 2019, Dominique was out and about. She was going to have a kid-free weekend as her children were spending the weekend with family members. She was at a local club and she contacted Officer Kinney, who she knew was on patrol, and asked that he take her from that club to her car. Officer Kinney picked her up with no problem, dropped her off at her vehicle, and Dominique proceeded to go home. Once she made it home, she did contact Officer Kinney, just letting him know that she had made it home safely. He finished his shift on patrol and then went back to the horse stable where the police horses are kept. He dropped off his cell phone, got into his marked vehicle, drove to Dominique's house, opened her door, and slid into her bedroom. While she slept, he put a bullet in the back of her head. He then proceeds to leave her home, drive himself back to the police stable to collect his cell phone, and while there, he sends her a text message as if nothing ever happened so that he can cover his tracks. And if that's not bad enough, the worst part about it is Dominique is discovered the next day by her 8-year-old son once he returns home from spending the night out with relatives. On May 21st of 2019, Officer Matthew Kinney is arrested, and he admits to killing Dominique after he is confronted with video evidence showing his marked squad car traveling in and out of Dominique's complex. At his first court appearance, Dominique's family did not hold back at all. They told everything.
They allowed the killer to decide his blood. That man came through the bushes while he was on duty and killed her. Walked in behind my daughter's home and executed her. They discussed with him what his bond should be. We need help in Oxford. We need intervention in Oxford. Somebody come to Oxford and hit her up one day. He saw it. He see how fine she was. He bought her car. He paid all her bills. Everything she wanted, he got it. He been spending money making it rain ever since he been with her.
How are you related to Dominique, ma'am?
I'm her auntie.
How do you spell your first
My
and last
name is Carolyn Clayton.
Can you spell both for us, ma'am?
Carolyn, Clayton.
And how are Dominique's kids doing? How are they?
Dominique's kids was not doing good at all. Dominique was a good mom. She did everything just like any young person would do. She gonna have fun, but she gonna take care of them kids and help her mom.
This courthouse was packed with supporters. What does that say about Dominique?
They say Dominique is a good person.
Killing WMC Action News 5's Kelly Cook caught up with the victim's mother after the hearing, and tonight she reveals the reason why she says Matthew Kinney was driving to kill.
He was doing things he couldn't afford to do. The only way he's seen out was to kill my daughter.
Kinney worked for the Oxford Police Department since 2015. Tuesday, the Oxford Board of Aldermen voted to fire the former Mounted Patrol Officer of the Year. Now Kinney sits in a Panola County jail cell. Her mother left to grieve the loss of her child and start the process of raising the 4 children she left behind.
He need never see the light of day again. And I hope he died burning.
Now, some breaking news out of Oxford this morning, where a former police officer is expected to plead guilty after a deadly shooting. The Oxford Eagle reports that Matthew Kinney will take a plea deal in connection to the death of Dominique Clayton. The 32-year-old mother was shot to death at her home back in 2019. Police arrested Kinney days later, charging him with capital murder. Family members say the two were romantically involved and that she was trying to end it when she was killed. Kinney's sentencing hearing is expected Friday at the Union County Courthouse in New Albany.
Life behind bars. That's the sentence for a former Oxford police officer who pleaded guilty to a 2019 murder. Action News 5's Ariana Poindexter has the latest on Matthew Kinney's plea deal.
Joe and Kanji, court lasted for about 20 minutes from start to finish, and during that time, former Oxford police officer Matthew Kinney pleaded guilty to capital murder in the death of Dominique Clayton, meaning he will spend the rest of his life in prison without the possibility of parole. Dozens of Clayton's loved ones were at the plea hearing. They said they wanted the death penalty, but are still pleased knowing that Kinney will spend the rest of his life in prison.
Thank you, justice has been served.
Clayton was shot in the head while sleeping in her home in 2019. Tragically, one of her 4 children found her. Now, the Clayton family attorney says within the next 7 days or so, he will file a civil rights lawsuit against the city of Oxford as well as Matthew McKinney. Of course, we'll keep you updated as we learn more about.
On May 26th of 2022, Dominique Clayton's family was awarded $2.2 million in a wrongful death lawsuit. The family attorney did release a statement saying, "Today, the Clayton family received the largest verdict or judgment ever in Mississippi history. in a police-involved killing case. While the judgment won't bring back Dominique, the family is delighted that her Black life matters in the court of law. My heart truly goes out to Dominique's family, especially her children. I mean, I can't imagine that 8-year-old boy finding his mother murdered. That is going to haunt him for the rest of his life. This case is so sad. I mean, here she's dealing with an officer who has taken an oath to protect citizens, and he's the one taking lives. It's just absolutely crazy. If you are experiencing domestic violence in your relationship, please get out. Use the quickest, safest way possible and do not turn back. Turning back can cost you your life. As always, stay safe, loves, and don't forget to subscribe, thumbs up, and hit that notification bell for future content.